Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and this is yet another installment in the Inspired Tarot Map series. This time I'm hosting a guest that maybe has not much to do with tarot, but he makes the most amazing crystal skulls that I found online. And this is Ivo Manus. Hello, Ivo.
Hello. Hello,
So nice to
everyone.
have you. Yeah, so nice to have you. And I couldn't resist to invite you to this channel to have a chat with you, because I know that a lot of my tarot friends also are keepers of your skulls. So I thought everybody will enjoy it. And I have a few questions to ask you. Welcome very much, and thank you so much for agreeing to be here.
Thank you very much.
So,
yeah.
So I always start with the same question. I start with ancestors because I think, I want to see the connection. So what is your heritage, Ivo, and where you live, and, tell us a little bit about your ancestry if you can.
Yeah. Well, I live in the Netherlands for 50 years right now. I'm 56. My mother was from the Netherlands. My father is Indonesian, and I was born in Indonesia as well.
I didn't know.
Yes, I'm partly Indonesian, full-blooded Indonesian. I was born in Bogor, and I think most of my spiritual interest comes from that side of my family, and because I know that I was born with the helmet on. Do you know that if you're born with a helmet on, the membrane of the mother, it's said that those people are paranormal gifted, and so it turned out to be that I was as a youngster. I knew things other people didn't know, and one really sad thing for me was that my father, who was the Indonesian part, was very scared for everything which was paranormal or something out of the box, and he didn't really, as a Christian, like my interest in religion, of Eastern religions and paranormal things. So that's a bit of the contradiction I had to live with. But I can remember that as from my 14th year, I was very much interested, and that developed very soon. My mother was very interested as well in those kind of things, but I always had to keep it a secret to my father. And then again, after, well, he passed away in the meantime, but I know he had the same, he was gifted as well, but he was afraid of it. He never dared to tell me and talk to me about it. But for me, in 2002, after being a teacher in a secondary school, being an antique dealer, I travel around the world, the United States, for jukeboxes and pinball machines. And I deal in antique furniture, etc., etc. And then I started in 2002 with my spiritual center. And in 2005, I started my own Institute for Education of Mediumship. And I had a lot of students and taught them how to connect with the other side. And I was very active as a trance medium as well. Did a lot of trance work. And up until 2011, November 2011, just before the special year of 2012, I got a heart attack, and then my life turned the other way around, because I wasn't able to see someone in the eyes, to meet up with other people. I was afraid of people, and I couldn't do my job as a spiritual medium. I couldn't do anymore. So there I was. I just had two nice children, a young family with no work. But just a year before that, I started to carve my first skull, and I think the only thing I could do at that moment was carving skulls. So I started professionally carve my skulls.
But sorry, like, so how come you carved that first skull? Did you have a dream, or you like just sat one day having a morning coffee and you want, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to carve a skull now.
It's a kind of a funny story, because my wife, she does the healing arts in that time, something else than mediumship, and I didn't really understand what she was doing. And but I, of course, I leave her the way for her path to follow. And one day she said, "I want to buy myself a crystal skull." Never heard of that. And I said, "Okay." Now it's uh, starting to get interesting. And I said, "Well, I want to join you if you go to look for a skull." And then that's okay. So we entered the room of this lady, and I saw a lot of skulls coming and seeing, and I was pretty uncomfortable. But she talked to my wife, and then they looked for a skull. And then she said, "How do you like the skulls?" And I said, "Well, I don't. They don't really interest me. They don't do anything. But what I can sense is that I have, um, I can breathe, because I got, my lungs aren't that well. So I found it funny that when I entered the room, all of a sudden I had this the possibility to breathe normally. And then she said, "Okay, which skull helps you with that process?" Oh my God, how do I know? I just picked one. Oh, okay, sit down with it, and then I'll come back to you later. And when I felt it, I felt so warm, so well, so happy. So it all changed. And the only thing I didn't understand, that was the telephone number which was written underneath this skull, which later happened to be the price of the skull. So, but one thing I knew, it had to come back home with me. And although it was very, very expensive in my opinion, I don't know, it was about 165 euros, and I had about 150 euros, and I gave it to her, and then all of a sudden she said, "If you have something carved from peach selenite, I would be very interested." And the thing is that a few months before that, I was starting um, uh, my interest in sculpting. And I bought a piece of peach selenite, which I tried, but it split right away. I couldn't work with it, so I threw it in the barn and left it. But then I was thinking, I've got this piece, and she was to be visiting our place that week. And I thought, well, if I make her a skull from that peach selenite, she better forget about the resting 15 euros. That's my change for the skull. So when she came, so I carved one very, very quickly. So that's my change. And when she arrived, she came in, and all of a sudden it was very silent in the room. Everything was ever so quiet, and she stand in front of me, And the only thing I could do was gift her the skull in this way. And she didn't take it, but she started singing. How do you call that? The higher tone singing.
Like this,
Through,
the nose, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, no singing, but all of a sudden, all the energy from the earth came through my legs, through my body, through my hands to the skull. And it was not something I ever experienced before. It was so vivid, so clear, so strong. And from that moment on, I knew there was something special about skulls. I knew there were more to come. And I think in life there are only a few moments that you really experience something quite intense like that, and that was kind of a moment that I just know I had to carve more skulls.
Wow, that's
So
like this redefining moment. Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
the defining moment in life for me, and that's what she told me also. There will be more to come, and they will be flying. At that moment, she told me there will be more to come, and they will fly all over the world.
wow.
And that
Yeah. And
happened.
it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
true. And what's her name? I'm curious, like if I know her.
She's Kokkie van Dam. She started her center, just a new center, just a few last year, a new center, and she still got that
Pitch
first beat.
selenite.
It's she said, well, this one never gonna leave, so I'm pleased about that. So I saw it just a couple of months ago when I visited her in a new center.
I'm just
And
asking because there was a lady from Holland coming to Poland also, but she was coming with a daughter, and the name they kind of translated into English for some like Blue Eagle, some I can't remember now. But I was curious if it may be the same lady, but I'm not sure what her name is, like true name, because they were using
no,
this kind of
no, it's Kokkie van Dam. She always,
uses
but
this name.
she always, yeah, she uses this name. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's already a good startup, hey, for any work. If you have this introduction, you
Yeah,
definitely go like, okay, because that's what happened somehow with me a little bit with wands like this. Maybe not that I didn't have this kind of introduction by somebody so much in person, but it was also interesting how, you know, I never thought of making wands to sell wands, like that never even crossed my mind. It was just I purchased a wand online because also I saw this thing. I'm going like, wow, you know, this is some type of recognition, even though you not
yeah,
realize consciously when you went into that room with the skulls, you kind of recognize that
yeah.
energy or whatever that
True.
is.
Yeah,
And I had the same, that I purchased it online and it came, and I was just like, I want to make one. That was my first, not even like I want to sit with this wand I bought. I want to make one. Like I want to make one. And I was running around Sydney like crazy, you know, looking for eucalyptus branches and something. And I already liked crystals a lot, so I always was connected to the stone energy. But yeah, then like when I started making them, all my friends were going, "Hey, make me one, you know." And they started at some point to like, "Why don't you just sell them? Like you don't, you know, like just I pay you." And it came out of people really. And then I thought like, can I make crystal ones and sell them? And then, you know, for a few years, because I started in 2011 as well, actually. That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny, yeah, same year.
Yeah.
Wow, I just realized because
Yeah.
yeah, it was like end of 2010 when I kind of saw it, and then 2011 when I actually started making them. And yeah, even now it's 2019 and I'm still thinking like, oh my God, I'm still selling crystal wands. This is like crazy. Sometimes I just go, this is crazy. Like if somebody asks me what you do and I'm like, I do crystal wands, people just go like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the same thing. That was I don't know whether that's something completely different, but in your direct surrounding, do people accept what you are doing? Do people understand what you are doing?
They kind of, I think people are curious. I wouldn't say that they totally understand what I'm doing, but I always I felt support rather than like curious or kind of going like, you're crazy, but like with this type of, that's cool crazy, like
Okay.
interesting. Yeah, so I never felt that, even being in Poland, which is very Catholic and very kind of closed off
Yeah.
to these things. I mean, now it's opening up a lot, but yeah, I surround myself mostly with people who are kind of more open-minded, so I don't sense too much. And I usually sometimes shut up. I know also when I don't need to say it to some people, I'd rather not say it. I never boast about it. I never walk around and, sometimes I go to crystal fairs, and every time when I wear any wand, I swear at least 8 people from the stalls who have crystals go, "What is it?" And I just say, "Oh, it's just, jewelry. I make those. Like it's a pendant." I don't go into, "Oh, it's a crystal wand I make."
No. Yeah, that's true. And I think we're blessed nowadays that we have the internet, that we can connect to those few or all over the world who do have the same interest, who do have the same understanding of what you are doing. And we are blessed about that.
I so
Because
agree.
in my surrounding, there's nobody I can really talk about what I'm doing. They more or less accept what I'm doing, but if I try speak about it, which I don't do unasked, they say, "Uh-huh, okay, uh-uh, it's nice weather, right? Yeah." Or was something else,
End of
So,
conversation.
yeah, conversation ends. And then, okay, well, it's okay.
I so agree. I
I
couldn't
go,
stress it out more than what you said. I think if not for the internet, I would probably quotation mark die in Poland. Like it would
yeah,
be just the end of me.
like a weird witch, as they did in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
They were banned outside the village,
Yeah.
and you got to live on your own. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then again, okay, well, that's something completely different.
We went really morbid. Ooh. Well, at least
Yeah.
we appreciated internet, so that's good. So can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about the creative process? So how does it start? Do you have a stone, you see the face, or you start carving and it just comes out, or how does it work for you?
Well, I do have to say one of my main activities needs to be that I use my right brain as much as possible. So I think as little as possible. I got my stones on the tables everywhere so I can see them. And every morning I ask, okay, which one of you will come with me? And that differs every day. So I just take one with no good reason other than that I feel I need to pick one to work on that one. And then I actually got 3 phases in my phases in my work. The first one is that I have the rough. I recognize the face. I recognize the dragon within, and then I'll cut off um, as much as possible for the final form to come out. Um, it's roughly done. So the only thing I create is the rough form, and then I'll put it somewhere. In some cases, I go too fast too, and that's when I'm detailing with special tools, just like the eyes and the teeth and the head to um, um, polish it or to make it as nice as possible. That's the detailing. And the final phase is the polishing. And the polishing actually is that's it's the longest time or the longest time frame for the work, because during the polishing, which need to be over and over and over in several phases, you need to go through that. And that could be the most boring part of my work. But on the other hand, it's the part of the meditation. That's the part, in my opinion, the real spirit enters, descend within the skull or the dragon. So if by polishing, by rubbing your skull, it will come alive, as they say. And even after I've done a skull, people ask, how can I flourish it up? I always use clear beeswax as the final phase in my carvings. So that's what I tell people to do if they think they're a bit dull or they want to reconnect with their skull or dragon. Just put some clear wax, beeswax, and rub it out, and so it will shine again, and it will be back, and it will be connected more with you than ever before. So that's roughly my process. But most of the time, I start off with the first phase from rough to form, and I'll put it somewhere, and sometimes it will lay there for months, weeks, months, years, and then I'll say, okay, well, you come and I'll finish you. So that's, you understand what
totally hear you, because I have, like, if I was to describe my process of creating, is exactly the same. And sometimes I have wands that, like, I always call it like marrying stones and wood, which I always use my imagination, because I see something in the stone and it always makes a story, and then, oh, this wood makes the same story, so I kind of connect them. But sometimes that's it, and then they lie weeks or months, and I can't kind of go to the next stage of this decorating or adding certain aspects that I thought that would be enhancing this energy. So yeah, totally the same. And you're right, you don't think too much. You go totally via what you feel.
Yeah. The only part I think is one to handle your tools. They're very big. You know, I've got big tools, very dangerous tools.
Yeah.
So that's the part I have to think. And the other side is process. So I think you can understand what I mean if you say, sometimes we go, oh my gosh, this is happening. Is this? Well, my hands are, so I'm very exciting during the process, because I don't understand what's happening, but it's there. And even when something breaks off, I'm not frustrated, I'm not angry. It's okay, because I know it's a sign that I have to go the other way around. And that's the way I couldn't have think about creating something what I do, because it during the process it will come to the form it finally has. So yeah, it's fun. I don't know. Do you make your wands often, or do you on daily basis, or
I used to make
weekly?
them much more often, but that's what I wanted to ask you also, because I noticed in myself, like, I can never go like, okay, I need some money, so now let's sit down and make some wands. It's just cannot happen. Like, I can't do anything whenever, like, I only can make them when I kind of feel that I can make them. And sometimes I go like, oh my God, I need another something, because sometimes I just can't make them. And recently, because I put so much energy into, developing tarot map and doing readings, and that costs a lot of energy to do readings for people. I noticed that I make wands less and less. But when I feel the strong call, like now I went to this crystal fair and I bought this beautiful citrine, and I had this dream even yesterday night. Like I felt like it's not even a dream; it was like a sentence. Make wands with this citrine, you know, like use the citrine work. And then I kind of read something about like some Mary apparition in Belgium, and it's called Mary, like Our Lady of the Golden Heart, and I'm already seeing the citrine ones, you know, Lady of the Golden Heart, and somehow it's just all like, you know, so that's now I'm kind of starting picking up on this muse when I call it, oh, muse has come. But other than that, I can't just sit down and go, okay, need to earn a few bucks, let's make some wands. I'm just sitting there going like, can't do anything.
Yeah.
So similar, very similar to you, that I just like walk. Do you do it every day now, or you kind of go, depends?
I would like to do it every day, but there are more activities to do. I've got my internet, I've got my packing to do, or I've got my listings to do. That's an awful lot of work. I don't like that kind of work, really. I want to carve, but there's no one else who can do this kind of work. It needs to be done.
Maybe soon, you know, maybe soon you're evolving now, because like to get a skull from you now, soon it's going to be like you're going to just have everything sold probably within like 5 minutes. Maybe you can employ somebody who can do it, because I totally hear you. The packing for me is like the dragging part, even though, you know, I also put like a little gift and I write everything by hand, but it takes so much time. It does take a lot of time.
Yeah, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. But even worse than packing is are the taxes. You know, the VAT, etc. That's really, really. And when I have to do the VAT every 3 months, I'm getting to become very, very
frustrated,
irritating, very frustrating. And then my wife Sandra says, "Oh, please go carving. May I?" Yes, okay. You know, I need to carve. I can do without for 2 or 3 days at the max. But if I haven't carved for a week, I'm grumpy. I'm not that kind of nice as I am now.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was like this. I remember working full time when I started making wands, and after this 40 hours, you know, of standing in a shop somewhere in Australia, like coming home, and I couldn't, like, it was like I got new energy to life. Like I was just like making, you know, imagining. I was like, I was doing after work this work, and I felt always refreshed and kind of never, you know, tired. So yeah, I totally hear you. Yeah. So how many skulls do you have in your own collection? Do you like keep some skulls when you feel, oh, this is my skull?
Only when I get a name. When I never tend to give my skulls a name, because I think that's something personal. That's something for the caretaker to receive or to give. Okay. Can you please give me a little water? Sandra's go out.
Hi, Sandra.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can hear us because we on the same.
Yeah, she can't hear us. No. Thank you. Where was I talking
about your skulls? When you hear the name, you keep it.
Then I'll keep them. I have about 10 or 20 skulls myself, to whom I've got a special attachment with, because they gave their name during the carving. Then I'll know that you're going to stay, or because they have proven to be very important to me during or after carving. So just a few. I think Sandra, who just left the building, has got more of my work. She's one of my best clients, you know.
Yes, I can imagine. I wouldn't mind being your daughter and just, Dad, I like this one.
My youngest daughter, she's got a big collection. And every once in a while. And then it's also nice to see that she picks the right one for her at that moment. Always. You see that you can't make no mistake in that.
No.
So
And
no,
did you
I haven't
notice?
got.
Sorry, just did
Sorry.
you notice with like you cannot make a mistake, because did you notice in your work as well that sometimes I had it with ones as well, that somebody wants to buy it but somehow they don't, they kind of don't, I don't know, they say they want it, then they don't buy it, and then somebody else buys it, and or somebody wants to but somebody else wanted to buy it, and then the other person resigns and that first person gets it. That I always had the sense that, like, in a way these objects in some way also choose the keepers, like it's not
I know.
just the person who chooses the tool.
I know for sure. I know for sure, because it goes wrong when you try to figure out how it works and what kind of intention. If you try to understand the process, and um, if you try to lead the process, then mistakes will be made. So I've done a few of those things in the past, and I just leave it. I leave it. It's the way it is, and they will follow. They will find their path. Just no doubt in that. No doubt in that.
Yeah. So one of the big questions, so how do you work with your crystal skulls? Like, do you hold them? Like, is there any, like, can you share, like, whatever you can share? It would be lovely to know. Because also the next question will be a few tips for people who never had skulls, but they
Yeah.
interested. And often people ask me, like, what do I do with it? Like, what do you do? Do you say, do you meditate? Can you maybe just like include the two?
Now I've got to be honest, right? I don't do as much with my skills myself. Um, the only thing, because I don't want to understand them. I understand. I don't meditate before I go to work. It sounds strange, but when I put on action, I'm there.
Yeah, your work is your
I'm
meditation.
cut off. Yes, I'm cut off the world, and then it all starts. And I won't take off my ear protection until I'm finished. And I think if I try to connect with those souls who are carved for someone else, I don't want to get involved in that process, because it's not my skull, and it's there for the new keepers to receive and to communicate with. Because sometimes people ask, what does this or that skull or dragon does for me? And I try to give them just a bit, but I don't want to tell them the story, because I need to tell that that's the thing I learned after my heart attack. I went into a very lonely process of going inside. I always thought I knew before that. I taught a lot of people in my classes about the spirit world, how it works, etc., etc. But I thought I knew, and after my heart attack, I just felt I did know nothing, and I don't know nothing. The only one who knows something is yourself, and I don't have the truth for you. I don't have the rule for you. I don't have. Um, I can't tell you how it is, but I can try to inspire you to find the real truth, and that's all within. Everyone has to go within, and people may ask, because I do give just very small sittings with clients. I've done a lot in the past, but I don't do any more of them now, because I say, well, if you want to work on it, just pick the skull and work with them. And that's often asked, how do I work with the skull? In fact, to me, a skull is a communication form. We people meet someone else and we connect through our face. Actually, not our knees are in contact with each other, not our feet are in contact with each other, the head. We look at each other, we listen at each other, and we form, we think something about someone else, but actually it's all your own thoughts. It's all within yourself. You see, this is funny because I try to explain something and then I forget about it because I'm not here to tell the truth. I'm not here to tell something about it. It's not my work anymore. Just pick up a skill, look at your skill, and listen to what's happening inside. Don't listen to what I have got to say. I haven't got anything interesting to say. Just everything you think of that is of any interest is of interest. Do I make a little bit of sense for you?
Yeah, totally. No, it makes sense, totally.
I think nowadays we lean upon the truth and the meanings of someone else, and we actually have to learn to lean upon the truth of something that's within yourself. And I think skulls will help you on that. So during the carving, a lot of things happen, but if it's not my information, I will leave it because I don't have any interest in being involved in the process of someone else. But for my personal use, I make grids. I put up grids with my skulls. If I do have a question, if I do have some issues, I put the issue in the middle and then I'll put the skulls around it and put a grid and ask the question. And then I can leave it and I know that the universe will work on it and give me the answers I've been asking for.
That's interesting because I used to use, I'm just maybe show people if they haven't seen your skulls. So with the skulls that I have bought from you. So this is this, what is it? The chrysoprase.
Yeah.
That was
color. It changed color, huh?
There maybe no, I don't think it did, but it might be the camera. Yeah, that it picks up.
Oh, you know,
I don't think it's changed the color, but sometimes they do, though. Hey, but he said toughy. I'm still a bit like. I have to be very kind of. This skull went to me with me to Australia, you know, and because this is like an Australian ancestor, and the stone comes from Australia as well. So, but the first one I got from you was this Mongolian, because that's how I found you, because I was looking for those Mongolian skulls. I wanted to have the Mongolian one, and you were just having those whole, you know, the whole series of the Mongolian. So it was also like some kind of magical moment that connected us together, because I was on the search and I saw this and I was like, oh my God. And then I found your other skulls and I thought, wow. So this, I called this one Alchemy. I love her. She's my grandmother.
Yeah.
And then there is this one who went with me to a meditation retreat, to Vipassana, because she has no mouth. So she was to the silent retreat for 10 days, no speaking, nothing. So I love that. And I was just, you know, sitting there. And my favorite ever, the seer from Aquamarine. He's at the readings, and also you also gifted me one skull, but see, I was a good girl. I actually gifted it to a friend, so I did pass one on. This one of your skulls is in Australia at my friend's pay. So Yeah, the smiley one. I called him the smiley. But she was like really lovely to me, and I thought she loves skulls as well. So I thought I'm going to just pass him on. So that's wonderful. But I wanted to say that I used to use your skulls a lot, and I still use it. But somehow recently I haven't. But I will come back to it. I used to print people's charts. You know, when I do like Chiron readings, they're very healing readings. And I used to put the skulls on the chart on certain parts, which I thought might need a little bit of clearing or support, or, you know, just like energizing. And I was asking the skulls to like work together on the, yeah. So I think it worked quite well from the feedback, at least, which I got from people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a subtle work. It depends on the receiver, but yeah.
But that's the same kind of thing. It's the unseen activity of the grid, which is activated by your wish, by your question.
Yeah. Or
And
the
if you
intention.
use the question, so I always say the spiritual world can do something for you if you ask. If you don't ask, they're not allowed to do anything. So your question is very, very important, and just ask. That's
Yeah.
it. Ask.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I usually, you know, when I do once, I usually describe, I usually pick a name just because I hear the name. So I hear the name for everyone nearly. But they mostly like this kind of general names when I think mostly connected to what they want, in my opinion, has the like the most kind of like the purpose of that want, that how I feel it. But I always as well encourage people to change the name, give the name, you know, because I think it's very important when you make a connection, and also to like kind of bless your want and ask or put the intention into that tool, because it's just a tool.
Exactly.
It's really up to
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to like support this or that, whatever you feel, you know, drawn to. When, but I noticed that people react to the descriptions. They, like as you
Yeah.
said, we communicate, so people like to also kind of have even this little guidance, even with sometimes what you write, sometimes on your website it's enough, like just one sentence of, you know, it's very powerful, or clearing or something, and it's already gives you a little bit of
Exactly.
okay.
That's what I can do. And if you want to know more, just go ahead and do it yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your own
Yeah.
work.
That's true.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite stone right now? Is there anything
I
like this?
I just I was thinking about that question. Actually, I tend to pick up the stone in the morning which I need most. I don't know much about the metaphysical uh, 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 properties of every stone, but afterwards I say, okay, well that's correct. I was working on that stone, so it differs very much, and I have. I'm blessed by the fact that I can choose out of a lot of stones. But one in particular is one of my favorites, of course, is the Brazili blue stone, the Stonehenge stone that comes from the Brazili Hills in Wales.
Precisely.
Um, I'm very, very, very much connected to that stone, and um, I feel that I do need to leave it once in a while for longer or shorter times. But if I do work with it, it's magnificent. It's
Maybe I just
wonderful.
show it because maybe not ever. I have it on my altars. There's the one which you sent me. This is the raw one,
Yeah,
Preseli Bluestone. But also you sent me those, but now I don't know, I packed this one somewhere. You sent me the polished ones, which are also beautiful, but yeah. But this is the stone that Stonehenge is made from, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
just for people if they didn't know. So, and do you ever use tarot cards, or ever was interested? Were you ever
I
interested?
worked I worked with the tarot cards
Ha.
when I was working as a spiritual medium. So I did a lot of work with it, but also in 2011 I just said goodbye to any kind of work of that. But I know that I've learned so many things with the tarot. And um, one for me, most importantly, is that you learned that everything has got a plus and a minus, and we call it positive and negative. And we always want to gain as much as positive as possible, but we always tend to forget that positivity always comes along with negativity. We both need those situations, and that's what I've learned of the tarot. It's always about finding a balance, a right balance between uh, all goods and, well, bad.
Yeah.
It's just moments of where you can learn a lot of things, learning moments. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of my things that I always, underline when I teach tarot or whenever I share anything on tarot, that every card has those both sides. We
Both
can't
sides.
just,
Yeah.
you don't pull just sun and it's always all good. Like you can be fucking brighter, sorry for fucking, you can be brighter than sun, and like blind people with your seeming ego, really. So there's always this, exactly what you're saying, that you have this two distinct, and we live in a dual world by that matter as well. We always have spirit and matter. So I think
Yeah.
that tarot reflects it beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's very. I learned a lot of all kind of situations, but you learn also about if you learn about the cards, you learn about what life is filled with any kind of situation is there for you to learn. Yeah.
I sometimes use tarot to, talk to my skulls. So I just pick one, let's say, and I'm just asking like, what do you want to teach me today? And I pull three
Yeah.
cards or something. And then it's also a form of conversation. And I think it's good for people when they think, oh, I'm not psychic, or I don't hear anything, or I don't, because sometimes we block and I think imagination is a good key for anyone who thinks, they weren't born with the helmet, or they don't have this special quality. And I think each of us has the special quality of imagination, and it's so undervalued. And I think as soon as you work with the skull in the way that you imagine you have a conversation, and that whatever you imagine is valid. It's like what you said, like whatever comes up for you in this type of work, it's valid. It's something which is important for you to notice. And we devalue our thoughts often. We like, I just imagine this.
That's
Perfect.
absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. So I was just like curious about that heart attack. Sorry, it was the last question. But did you, because Ram Dass, when he had his stroke, he also said something similar what you just said, that he thought he knew, but actually he didn't know anything. And everything changed after his stroke, when he just decided whatever he was teaching people, and he had so much following, like, I think he's still alive. I shouldn't speak in past tense, but he had so much following. And when the stroke came, and suddenly, like, he was kind of, depleted, and he needed constant help also, and stuff like this. Like, his whole teaching kind of was so much more full of humility and like really deeper understanding, and then working with that limitation of physical, like he said, he was, the master of joke, or he could be like so quick in like speaking, and everybody was charmed. And suddenly after stroke, he couldn't, use this at all because he couldn't speak. So how was it with you? Was it like you didn't go through the clinical death? It was just can you tell a little bit more, if you don't mind?
It was well, the thing is that I was in an ambulance with with the sirens. I went to Nieuwegein, is another other town, to after I was diagnosed with a heart attack. And this nurse sat beside me in the ambulance, and I kept on giving her readings unsteady focus. Yeah, it was a stupid thing. I told her about her son and that what the problems with her son and why, what she had to do against it, and what was best for her to do, etc., etc., etc. And I was so, I said, at that moment, I feel so blessed that I still could work as a spiritual medium. And the doctors weren't safe with me. I remember when I had my operation, my heart operation. Um, the doctor came into. I was just woken up, and then the doctor came in, and she was a very big lady. And when I looked at her, she came in and said, "Good morning, Mr. Manus. How are you today?" And I was looking at her, and I saw that she once chose this profession of doctor because her father was a very important professor uh, um in medicines. I saw that she wasn't married yet because she was still very much connected with her father. I saw that she had a little dog. Saw that she was living in a flat, and that she had a quarrel with one of her neighbors. Uh, and all kind of
Stuff.
stupid information came to me, and I could all answer those silly things about someone else, but that very important question, how I was doing, I couldn't give her an answer. I didn't know. And that gave me, from that moment on, I realized that I always went out with um, um, my knowledge of talking about someone else, but I wasn't able to talk about myself.
Mm.
And that was a hard thing. It was a very hard thing because people kept on calling me, even in the middle of the night. They were used to, well, I can call Ivo because he knows and he can help me, even it's 3 o'clock in the morning, doesn't matter. But because of the fact I wasn't able to work, I didn't have any finances, so I needed to ask for help somewhere else. And there was nobody who could help me.
Mm.
So I had to work for myself. I just had to. I had to put myself in the first place. I just had to. It wasn't a choice. I had to. And therefore, I learned that, in fact, the person most important in life is yourself,
Mm.
not someone else.
Yeah, it's this
And
healthy
that
boundaries.
changed.
Then you can give much more from the right place.
And from that moment on, the thing I give now is my skills.
Mm.
And you just, the fact I was trying to explain something and I couldn't find my words, and yeah, well, that figures that's the example of the fact that I'm not here to tell the truth. My work now is carving my skills to give to humanity, and whatever they want to do with it, I never say you're wrong. If they say it's like that, it's like that.
Mm.
So my skills need to go. That's why I don't have many skills for myself. Um, and that spiritually, I didn't expect this to come,
Mm.
but it came, and I'm happy. I'm very, very happy, especially when I'm carving. And I learned so many things. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think that's beautiful, and also maybe a good moment to close up our interview, because this seems like a good message for now as well, with Chiron in Aries, when there is this need for really taking responsibility for our own stuff and knowing our own desires and who we are, and really getting to know ourselves. Yeah, that's really, and integrating actually that healthy sacred masculine, because it's we in the need of the healthy one. We had many centuries of this balance, and I think it's time, and many of us are really started at least doing a lot of work on that. So I think that's important. But thank you again, Ivo, for being so gracious and sharing.
Thank you very much.
Oh, actually, yes. And I wanted to say at the end of our meeting that Ivo was so amazing that he actually wants to create one skull for someone who watches the...
Or dragon, I don't know yet. It's going to be created somewhere this upcoming week. And it will be, as I told before, it will be something small but dear. I will send it to you, and you may do whatever you would like to do with it, as long as it's fly out to someone else.
No, I keep it.
It's all recorded now, so
I know. I can't really get out of it now. No, of course we're going to pick. I'm going to think of some way that you can guys win this skull or a dragon that Ivo makes. And this interview will be only posted in like a month or a month and a half time. So you have time, Ivo, because I have 2 more to post before, and I'm posting every 2 weeks. So it's just stretches. But stay tuned, guys, because once I air this interview, in the description box, I'm going to put some mini conditions to make you work for it a little bit and maybe to help us spread the word also, about my work and Ivo's work. And that's would be lovely as well if you could just share probably, and one of you can win whatever Ivo creates. So that's really lovely. Yeah, thank you so much, Ivo. That's a great idea. And we'll speak to you soon. And Ivo, don't switch off yet. I'm just going to stop the recording. So thank you everyone for watching, and I speak to you soon. Bye.